Hello patrons, I have a successful test to share with you today. So if you've been watching my lens videos, you've seen these in process. So these are two, they started out as clay boards, and so they're scratch board without the top layer of ink pre-coated. And I painted them myself for each of them using an airbrush. This is a really cheap airbrush. It was $15. This is the Central Pneumatic brand from Harbor Freight. If you are interested in trying out airbrushes, I do not recommend getting this one. My issues with it are the trigger is really sticky. It's really jumpy, which is a common problem that the trigger isn't designed very well. Anyway, but it worked for my purposes. And I used these scratchboard inks to create them. So these are the inks that I usually use to stain my scratchboards after I etch them. And this is what Ampersand recommends using if you're going to make your own scratchboard. So originally I tried making these by painting the ink on, and it was just really not working out. It was inconsistent, which bothers the heck out of me because it was very much not perfect. The second problem was when I did do a perfect coat using the airbrush, any underlying texture of the paint that I had underneath came through, and so I couldn't paint the bottom layer either. So this piece here has been painted with airbrush using fluorescent blue from Golden Acrylics. This is what I use to paint all my glow pieces. If you're interested in doing glow paintings, I highly recommend Golden. They're a great brand in general for acrylic and oil paint. And I just love this. This glows really brightly, and I'll show you that in a moment. So I did a nice thick coat of the fluorescent blue underneath, and then coated this in the black scratchboard ink once it was thoroughly dry. And then this piece, I kept the undercoating of clay, just clay, so that we can see that when we etch through, we don't get a glow reaction. And also just to see about making different colored scratch boards. When I move forward and get more of a hang of the airbrush, I kind of like the idea of creating nice gradients, maybe nebula, cloud shapes, and then etching through on my own. And so these are custom scratch boards I've made. The image you see here is based off of this photo that I took from the internet. I will reference the creator in the Patreon post and in the YouTube video once I make it. Sorry, I don't have it on hand right now, but this is not my image. I had actually hoped on getting images with my microscope of these guys from the coast, and I did grab samples, but I wasn't able to image them. Long story short. Anyway, so they're not my images, but they are really pretty. And this is my test piece for it's a commission focusing on these species of dinoflagellates that are phosphorescent. And when you visit the coast, our Oregon coast, for instance, during high summer, when you walk through the sand, beneath you the sand will light up this bright, brilliant blue. And it looks honestly like stars or galaxies. It's an incredible experience. It's unfortunately, I think, too late to go see it yourself. We're past the season, but I do recommend going sometime. This is what I drew it with. This is a chemical formula for luciferin, and it's specifically the kind of luciferin that's used in dinoflagellate. So this is a different chemical formula than you've seen in my jellyfish piece and also in my fireflies. Their luciferin is different, although they all use a luciferin-luciferase reaction. So that's what I drew this with. And now I'm going to show you the results. First of all, I'd say the airbrush worked perfect. It's a really perfect. Etching it was also really similar to scratching into a regular scratch board. I would say that this piece, it felt a little, I don't know, like not as hard. I could tell that the texture underneath the ink wasn't as hard as the clay was, and so it was a different experience. It took me a while to get used to it. But now I'm going to go ahead and turn the black light on and the light off. Let's see if you can see. You can see a little bit in white light, it glowing, which is really neat. Turn this light off here so you can see it glowing. You can see it's a really bright reaction. Sometimes my camera can't adjust once it's been in one lighting condition and goes to another. So this is a success. So what's really neat about this is, as opposed to my glow paintings where the paint glows, the numbers themselves here are glowing. If you've been a patron for a while, you saw that I did this before with the butterfly, and I did really colorful paint underneath. This is an improved version of that. I will note that it's really quite bright in person. It's really hard to capture in my camera. And then here shows the other piece. And so you see if I just etch through without putting that coating of fluorescent paint underneath, it doesn't glow. It has no reaction. And as a test here, I did etch through a little too far sometimes, just so I can see how far I can etch before I lose the glow, before I go through the blue paint and go into the clay. And so there's a couple points where it no longer glows. So I know the depth I'm going for. I'm gonna open this door and see if we can get a little mixed light. That's better. That's much clearer. So here you can see how beautiful it is. And this is the color that I remember them being when I was on the coast. So I'm very pleased with this. This is my current plan for my Cosmic Beach commission. The idea is to have these dinoflagellates, which I don't know if I'm saying correctly, in the sand, and then above us we'll have the Milky Way. So this is a success. I think that's all of the notes I have on this. These two are available. I will post below what their price is. There's of course a Patreon price and the public price. It's just really fun. I'm very happy. Oh, so the next test will be spraying it. So if you guys recall, I had a failure with the butterfly piece in that once I sprayed it, it became this kind of cloudy mess. And that's because the spray I used was UV spray, which blocks the UV paint. It was a very silly mistake that I made. But I have a spray that is non-UV. So it's just a glossy spray, which will mean you could technically not spray this, but you see that inconsistent glare on the black there. That really annoys me. And I would prefer it to have this really even glow. Not glow, sorry, a really even. Oh, look at that, that's fun. Sorry, I got distracted by how cool those two would look like that. That looks neat. So I want it to be really consistent and even, sort of like a, I guess you'd call it a flat gloss, I don't know. So hopefully the gloss I have without UV protectant will work and create the nice even tone I'm looking for, and also not block the UV light. And I will get back to you on how that works out. All right, thanks, bye.